Welcome, everybody. We have quarter two, right? Q2 2021. Let's think back on where we were in 2020. It was kind of a much more depressing state, not just with the crypto market, but with the entire world, right? I think 2020 was sort of this year where everybody just thought, like, when is this year over? And it started in February and March already last year. So it's very exciting to be in this quarter, because I think Q2, historically speaking, has been really crucial for the entire crypto space. It has seen some of the largest gains. It has also seen some exciting announcements, historically speaking, and I think knowing what's in the pipeline with the Coinbase IPO, what we're going to talk about today, what's being discussed at Goldman Sachs, at some other large banks, and most importantly, what we at IOTA have in the pipeline, I think it is a very, very exciting quarter. So I'm pumped. We have Chrysalis, we have Corticide, we have smart contracts, we have digital assets. I think it's all really coming together to a very exciting stage where in this quarter we're really going to see the use cases increase, and also really the adoption of IOTA go up. So I think the upcoming 3 months will be quite crucial for the project. So it's absolutely exciting to see how it's going to progress. I think today, because it's actually supposed to be a holiday, right? I think today we'll do a more of a relaxed session. Maybe I'll look at the chat, and if you guys are not shit talking too much, we can also do some questions later. But basically, what I want to do today is to reflect more on 2017 versus 2021. I think one of the most important things to realize in these financial markets is that cycles are inevitable, right? And one of the great financial gurus, Howard Marks, has a very exciting book actually called Mastering the Market Cycle. And I can really recommend you guys to take a look at it, because I think there's some very interesting lessons to be learned from that book. And ultimately, I think all of us have to understand the following thing, right? Nobody, no matter in which position they are, no matter who they are, nobody fundamentally knows where this is heading, right? Everybody's just basing off of assumptions, and doing forecasts, doing predictions is all good. There's always some unknown that you cannot factor in either direction, right? Very positive or very negative. Did anybody expect Tesla to put in $2 billion into Bitcoin? I don't think so. I didn't expect that, and it happened. Did anybody expect some of the largest banks to change their stance on crypto? I guess so, right? All of us kind of thought that the banks actually eventually have to open up, because they understand that the money-making opportunity for them is just too big to miss out on. And we have DeFi, where some DeFi projects or even centralized exchanges make more profits than some of the largest banks. So they are really missing out in that regard. But my point is, right, we have to assess the situation of where we stand right now in every type of market, whether you're in a traditional market or whether you're in crypto. It's really very important that you understand where you stand right now. And it's also very important to reflect on the history to see how it has progressed and what is different. That is sort of a bad statement on its own, because every time you have a new cycle, a new bubble coming up, people always say it's different this time. And that's actually true. And it's different every time, but some things always stay the same. And we have to understand which of these things are the same, so that we can also base our decisions on those data points. So I think today I'll try to research this together with you guys to better understand what's different with 2021 with 2017. Fundamentally, it's all about narratives. I think 2021 is really the year where the crypto market is starting to reflect more of the same type of movements and has the same type of impact from retail investors as the crypto market. And that's kind of funny, because I remember back in 2017, we always said we want to get out of the crypto bubble. We want to get out of this insane, crazy speculation, and we want to be more like the traditional market. And what's actually happening is that the traditional market is is reflecting crypto a lot more. Because what I mean concretely with that is the stock market is driven by narratives today. If you look at Tesla, if you look at all of the big tech companies, and they're trading, I think 80x revenue, right? And that just shows you that it's not based on fundamentals. It's based on narratives of the future, because tech companies are seen as the innovators, as the main beneficiaries of the pandemic. And in some aspects, that's true. But whether it's true to that extent, I don't think that's really true. So it's really interesting. So I think narratives is everything, and narratives has been everything in the crypto market since its inception. If you look at the crypto market, and if you look at all of the largest crypto projects, all of them are driven by narratives, because none of them are really production ready yet. None of them are really fully adopted yet. It's all driven on future potential. And I think that's what makes the crypto market so exciting, because ultimately we're going to underestimate the full extent of the impact of crypto, of IOTA, and so on. But right now it's all about narratives, right? And I think that's a really, really interesting discussion to have. So let me start sharing my screen with you guys. So if we look at the crypto market today, let me zoom in a little bit more. Can you see it well? Can you see my screen well? If you look at the crypto market today, right? The total market cap today is $2 trillion. If you think about the crypto market in 2017, let me actually pull this up. All right, I think I got enough yes. The main reason why I use CoinMarketCap is because I think it's just the most simple to utilize. And it's kind of an old habit. It's kind of atheism, but whatever. Let's look at 2017. I think the peak of the market was around December. So I think we have to use several days actually. Let me use November and let me use December. All of the previous years, crypto really started taking off in 2013 when there were so many different projects that really got started. Like, right, Ethereum got started in 2013. They really did their ICO 2014, if I remember. 2015, 2016 they launched, and 2017 was really this crazy hype year where many projects really got started raising a lot of capital. So if we look at the crypto markets, right? This date is November 28th. So November 28th, 2017 is, I would say that is when the crypto market really got started. When this crazy altcoin boom, I wouldn't say boom, bubble, really got started, because IOTA back then was number 8, right? At $1, 3.1 billion market cap. The total market cap at the time was 136 billion. If we compared it to today, we have 2 trillion, right? So it's a big comparison. And what's very interesting is just how quickly it all unfolded. Because back then already we had like a few thousand projects. But within 3 weeks, the entire market cap basically tripled. And I think this is really the time where many retail investors started to FOMO into the market. And I think the main thing that really drove the crypto market in 2017 is basically just retail speculation, trying to achieve unbeatable or unachievable gains. Ultimately, every time you have a bubble, people come to you and they say, hey, there's this new exciting investment is going to 10x over the next week, and it's a safe investment. It's a given, right? That is actually how it worked during the .com bubble as well, because essentially what happened during the .com bubble, and I wasn't there, right? I'm not speaking out of experience. I just read a bunch of books on this stuff. Is that people at the office, they were speaking about IPOs that were happening and basically telling you, hey, dude, just invested in this IPO because it's going to 10x next week, and ultimately did 10x because the cash was simply there and the narratives were there, because the .com bubble had the narrative that anything that had to do with the internet was the future. And the same was true with this entire crypto market in 2017, where anything that had to do with crypto, with a new project that just did their ICO, it was going to be the future. And ultimately, the market was really driven by insane speculation based on really overhyped visions of the future. And this is true to every single project in the market, including Bitcoin, including Ethereum, including IOTA, where it was about, hey, let's decentralize everything. Let's decentralize the world, and we're going to disrupt the financial system. And everybody was kind of too optimistic. And every time a market is too optimistic, you kind of start to realize that this is not sustainable at all, right? And that's what happened then. I think the peak of the bubble, let me look at my notes. I think the peak of the bubble was around early January 2018. And then it all came crashing down. And ultimately, I would say that all of this is really needed for us to mature as an ecosystem, and for us to also really start to mature as projects. Because I just remember in 2017 how crazy it was with all of these ICOs and how they were raising unlimited capital, right? If you think about a crypto project, and if you think about somebody raising more than $20-30 million, it's just, you don't need that much money to start a project, right? You don't need that much money to start building out an MVP and to start validating your project. The way that the usual startup cycle goes is that you build an MVP, you try to do it with whatever resources that you have, you validate the MVP, and once you have this validation, you start to raise capital, because through that, you actually de-risk the investors, because ultimately it's not your money that is being risked. It's being other people's money that's being risked. And crypto took it on its head, where it went the other way around. Hey, you have an interesting idea. Here's the capital to validate it. And that ultimately basically erased hundreds of billions of dollars basically off the market, because many of these ideas were not sustainable. They were not achievable in the real world. And many of them were based on the wrong assumptions of the future. And another thing about 2017, it was really purely driven by retail investors. And there was no real institutional adoption back then. There was no real financial infrastructure around crypto. I remember in 2017, there was not a single bank that was really taking crypto seriously, or that was really thinking about offering a new kind of product for custody, for buying and selling, and so on. So overall, it was an immature market, 2017. It was an important lesson, I think, for the entire industry, for us to really also understand what basically all of us better understood what it really meant to build up these communities and these decentralized ecosystems. And I think the market as a whole also understood that you do not achieve success by throwing money at a problem. And I would say that most of the projects that raised a lot of capital back then, they ultimately failed. And I know of a few of them, and I think I hope it's good lessons for those people. But it's really interesting to see how the crypto market transformed. And obviously 2018, 2019, until 2020, I would say, was the time, some might call it the forgotten years, because there was a lot of uncertainty. But ultimately, it was a time to build, right? 2018, 2019 was really the most productive years for many of us in this industry. And I think even though the market wasn't really growing exponentially, it was really sort of this search for what is really the primary use case of cryptocurrencies. Because going from just a speculative asset towards a cryptocurrency, towards a real currency that is being adopted in the real world, is a tedious process. It takes a lot of time. Some of you might remember how there was this tipping bot. Does anybody remember the tipping bot that was bought by Coinbase? Wait. I remember there was this one tipping bot. It was basically really funny to see all of these different Bitcoin startups, right? Like, for example, earn.com, where you get paid to read stuff, or where there were these Bitcoin miners or these Bitcoin tip bots, and all of them ultimately failed, because that was not the use case for Bitcoin, and that was not the use case for crypto, for that specific project, right? And I think it's really interesting how some of the other projects also try to find their niche. Ethereum, the use case of Ethereum in 2017 was a launchpad. It was to raise capital. So if you think about it, Ethereum was the biggest deal flow, probably brought the biggest deal flow out of any type of category, right? Out of any type of VC fund. If you were in the Ethereum ecosystem, you had so many different opportunities to invest in, and that was really the primary use case back then, because there was no real adoption outside of investing into ICOs. And that's why 2018, 2019, and until 2020 was really those very exciting years where we as the IOTA Foundation were also really focused on building up structures within the organization, and where we were also really focused on getting our tech right. So let's go to 20. So I just tried to give you guys some quick perspective on 2017. Let's think about 2021 and where we stand today. Now, what's very exciting is that we have Coinbase that is about to go do their IPO. They're doing it reportedly at 100 billion. I think they reduced it to a 60 or 70 billion. But it's incredibly exciting, because now we have a publicly listed company, right? As the biggest exchange, basically. And that also gives new opportunities for investors to enter the space and to take a bet on its growth, ultimately. And so that's super exciting. Something else that's super exciting is that basically, I would say every one of the largest banks in the world right now is looking very, very closely at the crypto market, because they really understand that the market has matured, and most importantly, the market has really validated itself as a new type of asset class that family offices, that institutional investors, that even pension funds are looking closely at. And if your clients, right, if you think about a bank manages money of their clients. And I would say most of the clients have really asked, why are you not offering any custody solutions yet? And that's why I'm very certain that some of these largest banks, including JP Morgan, for example, here JP Morgan said that the Bitcoin is really paved for adoption. It's ripe for adoption in the traditional financial sector. So that means that A, the regulation is getting better, and B, also the financial infrastructure around crypto is getting better. And ultimately, the ultimate goal of all of this is also to have ETFs, exchange traded funds. So that means that regulated entities can much more easily take a position in this entire crypto market. take a position in Bitcoin, and then later on, obviously, also take a position in cryptocurrencies as a whole. So I think Goldman Sachs filed for an ETF. I think some other entities also filed for an ETF. So it's all really coming together. And the Coinbase IPO is just one validation point, I would say. There's much more coming from the traditional banking sector. So it's really exciting to see all of this evolve. And I think all of us here can really say that we knew that this would happen, but it's still very exciting to see that that is really happening right now in front of us. So let's take a step back, right? Let's think why does this matter to us, and where do we as IOTA stand? 2017, the narrative of IOTA was, hey, we are the anti-blockchain movement, I would say, where it is about, hey, blockchains are not scalable, blockchains have miners, they have transaction fees, and ultimately, with the blockchain, you're not going to be production ready. And most of the use cases, especially in the Internet of Things, need a complete new architecture. And so that was the one very strong tech-driven narrative of IOTA in 2017, where it was sort of blockchain versus IOTA, or versus the Tangle. And then there was also the really economic narrative, I would say, where it was about the machine economy. All of us know about the Internet of Things. All of us know about connected devices have connected devices in our households, understand what the future of automation looks like. And the strong narrative around IOTA, with this machine economy, just made it so much more tangible, because ultimately it is not just about automating the processes of those machines. It's also about providing full autonomy to the machine so that they can start to transact with each other. And that's a very, very exciting not just use case, it's a very, very exciting narrative for IOTA, because that is really what the future looks like, where IOTA is being utilized as the backbone for this machine economy. And that is what made IOTA so strong in 2017. And that is what really has helped us to propel into this project that we are today, with all of you who are part of the community, who really believe in the vision of IOTA. For one, as a technology, right? Tangles are better than blockchains, but also really as an ecosystem, that we are betting on the right future. Ultimately, it's all about making assumptions of what the future looks like. That is what we're investing in, right? We are betting on a certain future. And the certain future that all of us believe in is where the IOTA protocol, where the IOTA network is being utilized to enable this new future, this new autonomous future of the machine economy. And that is really where we stand. So 2017, the narratives were there, the tech wasn't there. I think the organization wasn't there, and our maturity wasn't there. And we made mistakes, as every project does. But it's all about growing, and it's all about learning from those mistakes. And we owned up to them, and ultimately it's about reflecting back of what went right, what didn't go right, what should we really focus on. It's all about being directionally right, as I said a few times on these IOTA talks. And we are directionally right, as we've seen with the adoption that we're getting from big companies, and with this new validation that we're getting with our strategy. So now it's 2021. Now I'm trying to really wrap up this thinking around where we really stand right now, because 2017, I think for all of us, it was really about sort of, all of us were living in a very uncertain future where the direction wasn't very clear, right? It was as if we were running in a very foggy environment, and we couldn't look left, we couldn't look right, we didn't know where we were heading, and we needed to take a step back. And we took the step back. We took a step back, and we really started to reflect on how do we really finish what we started? How do we really realize this vision of the machine economy? How do we really realize this vision of IOTA? And since last year, or I think since 2019, we've really started to get our strategy right, and also really started to get this pathway towards the future right. And I think this image here really shows you one of the most important fundamental building blocks of our future. Now, what we have today is since last year, right? Since 2020, probably. We have the Hornet node, which is the IOTA 1.0 sort of node software written in Go. Now, what we have coming up now is Chrysalis. And Chrysalis is the biggest upgrade in our history, where we have changed literally everything of the IOTA core protocol, and where we are really focused on removing all of the biggest, on the wrong technical decisions that we've made in the beginning, the unoptimized algorithms or the non-standard cryptography. All of that was replaced with much better software, with much better technology, to really make sure that the last point of criticism of IOTA is the coordinator. So that's a huge step forward. And I think many of you that have actually tried to utilize the Firefly wallet, if you haven't yet, please make sure to try it out, because it's really worth it, so that you better understand what Chrysalis really means and what it enables you to do. All that's really missing after this Chrysalis mainnet upgrade is to remove the coordinator. So let's look at the timeline. So we have the 2nd of April, Q2 has started. My girlfriend always jokes about that I always like to speak in quarters. Quarters are really useful. I'm not German enough yet to talk about calendar weeks. That's too German for me. But 2nd of April, we have less than 3 weeks for the start of the migration. We have 26 days until the actual mainnet upgrades. So think about that real quick, right? We've been talking about this upgrade since over a year, and now it's right in front of us. So it's absolutely exciting to see this come together, because this is really our start into a new era, where we as a project are really direct, not just directionally right, but we as a whole ecosystem are able to really take on the adoption that we have always been speaking about, and are really able to take on the growth, and are able to handle the growth. Because ultimately we can have the right narratives, we can have the right story, but if our tech can't handle it, it's kind of pointless. But with Chrysalis, we will be able to handle it, and it's absolutely exciting to see that it's less than 3 weeks away. So I think all of you should really start to get excited about the upgrade that is coming in on the 21st with the migration start, and the 28th with the actual mainnet upgrade. Now, as you probably see here, one important thing is that we're doing a lot of things in parallel. Chrysalis is there to get the current mainnet to a stage where you can start building on it. And we feel very confident that all of you who are builders, who are large companies, are now able to reliably build your application, your use case on IOTA. Knowing that with Corticide, what's most importantly going to change with Corticide is the integration of Mana, which we'll talk about soon. And what's also going to change with Corticide is some stuff with the transaction layout and so on. But ultimately, the biggest change that is really happening in terms of use cases, in terms of integration of IOTA into use cases, is from 1.0 to Chrysalis. That is why exchanges needed so much time also to adapt to Chrysalis, because it was a big difference. Previously, you had to worry about reusing addresses, and you had a very complicated setup with the libraries and so on. And now it's a lot simpler to develop with IOTA. And the change from Chrysalis to Corticide will be a lot less significant, which means that we are right now very comfortable with onboarding partners onto the Chrysalis mainnet, onto this new version of IOTA. So it's really, really damn exciting that we can now really, as an ecosystem, start building. And that's one of the most important things for developers, because if you cannot trust that the base layer is going to be stable, why would you build on it? You're going to invest significant resources in significant time to ultimately have to redo it all again. And that's why Ethereum 2.0 has a lot of difficulties, I would say, because they have to port over an entire ecosystem to a new network. And that's why Vitalik also said that is the biggest threat to Ethereum itself, right? Ethereum 2.0 is the biggest threat to them. And so we as a project, we took a different approach where we have the coordinator. We started with the coordinator, and now we're slowly becoming production ready on the base layer, enabling all of you to really build productively on IOTA. And I think one thing that all of you should really be excited about this year is the tangible adoption that will come with it. And what I mean with tangible adoption is, so far, every time we had a big announcement with Jaguar Land Rover, with Dell, with ADAC, and so on, it's a very exciting announcement, and we really love working with those big companies. But ultimately, it will take years for you to be able to utilize this in the real world, right? Because the life cycle or the product cycle of these big companies is very different from the crypto world. And what we as a project should be focused on is, how can you already today use IOTA? That's why we have the Firefly wallet. That's why we have identity. And that's also why we're building out the whole smart contract ecosystem. I think that is super exciting for all of you who want to earn money with your IOTA tokens, who want to utilize your IOTA tokens, and you want to just experiment with use cases, because this whole decentralized world is just so damn exciting. And we as IOTA, we should really try and enable all of that. And speaking of which, one of those is really the bridge building that we've been talking about since the beginning of the year. And just to take a step back, what we mean with bridge building. So what we have today is we have the IOTA network where you can transact the IOTA token, where you can secure data. We are now building smart contracts on top. And our vision of the future really sees a world where you can transfer assets between different distributed ledgers. And we are very comfortable that IOTA will be adopted as this sort of DLT for the machine economy. And we are so confident in this future with IOTA and with Mana that we also want to make it possible to utilize the IOTA token in different networks and also represent different tokens on the IOTA network. And that's why this bridge building is so interesting. Because what we're basically doing there is you can transfer the IOTA token from the IOTA network to a different network. Like, for example, what we just announced, I think this week, right? Yeah. What we just announced this week was the integration of the IOTA token on Binance Smart Chain. What that means is that you can now you can swap the IOTA token from the IOTA network to the Binance Smart Chain network, where it's being wrapped. And then within this ecosystem of Binance, you can start to transact the token. More importantly, you can start to utilize the token in certain dApps, like, for example, utilizing it for lending and borrowing, or for staking, and all of those use cases. And that's super exciting, because it just really opens up new ecosystems for us as a protocol, and for us as an ecosystem. And we're going to do a lot more of this bridge building as we progress with smart contracts. So I think next up, we'll definitely focus on Ethereum, so you can also utilize the IOTA token in DeFi applications. But it is really just like a smaller part of the vision that we are working on, and I think it's just exciting to offer these opportunities to all of you. And here's just an example of one user actually utilizing IOTA on a decentralized exchange. So you can expect a lot more of this. And this is really what I mean with tangible adoption. You can utilize the IOTA, you cannot just see big companies adopting the tech, but you can also utilize it yourself, and not just hodl, but maybe even earn interest when hodling, or utilizing it in certain applications. So I think that's super exciting to see. And this also really brings me to the next point of how do we see the IOTA assets evolving? Because we have the base layer. Our primary focus right now is to make the base layer production ready. And we are doing that with Chrysalis, where it's happening in less than 3 weeks. And then the next step will be to do Courtiside. And I'll speak about Courtiside very soon. But part of this vision of the future for IOTA is really representing different digital assets on the IOTA ledger. If we want IOTA to be adopted as this protocol and as this backbone of the machine economy, you need to be able to digitize one physical assets. What I mean with that is like tokenization. Think about tokenizing a machine, tokenizing real estate, or tokenizing a sharing fleet, or even tokenizing a data stream. All of that should be able to be represented digitally, and it should also be able to be traded, right? But the other side of this is also we want to have completely, fully digital assets like data or like tokens, or even like different type of asset classes be represented on the IOTA ledger. Taking a currency from another network, like for example Cardano in this use case, and representing that token on the IOTA network, in the IOTA ecosystem, so that it can be utilized for different type of mechanisms or different type of use cases that are being built on IOTA. Through this, we're really starting to grow the entire ecosystem exponentially, where it's no longer just about one single use case, for example, machine-to-machine payments, but where it's really about growing all together as an ecosystem, as a permissionless open ecosystem. So digital assets are really, really crucial for our future, and we have some very exciting updates happening there. The way that I see digital assets evolve is we have the update happening in Go Shimmer, where we're updating the RFC right now, so you can also play around with it more. And I hope then with the Nectar release happening in a couple of weeks, you all will be able to start trading and start to experience digital assets on IOTA the same way that you were able to experience Firefly and Chrysalis for the first time. And I'm really excited to see how we can play a role, not just in NFTs, but really also play a role much beyond that, right? DeFi is part of it, but we're really, really excited about this whole broad vision of digital assets, where it's about physical assets and where it's also about really just virtual assets, including games and so on. So we're going to do digital assets first on Nectar, on the Nectar network. We'll try to think about how we can integrate it into the different wallets, maybe into Firefly, but no promises there. But just rest assured that digital assets is very important. And after Chrysalis, you will hear a lot more about the use cases that we're working on there. So that's really interesting. The other part about this, production readiness, standardization, I think that really goes hand in hand. And we are one of the protocols that has really been focused on standardization since our inception. Mike Bennett from the OMG group has really done a tremendous job in giving you guys an update on the whole process. I think it would be very exciting to invite Mike onto a show in a couple of weeks. Maybe we even do it next week, because basically everybody working on Chrysalis is super busy working on Chrysalis. Everybody working on Go Shimmer is super busy working on Go Shimmer. So we can't have Hans, Sergey, or Angelo on the show yet, but we'll get them onto the show. So I think Mike would be a very interesting candidate to speak about standardization. For us, standardization is really something that is sort of this long-term bet of how the future looks like, and how we are going to make sure that IOTA is going to be adopted in the real world by some of the largest companies in the world. So right now we're focusing on the node and the streams. proposals. One thing that we're doing right now is when it comes to Corticide, when it comes to the standardization, the ultimate objective is to standardize the Corticide version, because the Corticide version, if you have a standard, the way that you want to approach this is you write the standard, you publish the standard, you get it approved, and anybody can then utilize this standard to implement their own node implementation, to implement the library, just by following the specifications of the standard. With that, you ensure interoperability. And that's really what we are going to focus on once the Corticide sort of yellow paper is out. And smart contracts will be something that we are also going to work on, but I think it's less of a focus right now. So I think when it comes to standardization, we should probably get Mike Bennett onto the show and also do a Q&A session with him. One thing that's very exciting about OMG, by the way, is that they have the finance domain task force, and they're really also making standards for central bank digital currencies. So we'll definitely think about how that fits into this whole vision of IOTA and what we're doing with smart contracts. So I think that OMG is a great partner for all of these standards and the protocol RFCs that we have written. So it's progressing well. Just so you all know, you can't expect something tomorrow with standardization. This stuff takes time. And we're going to invite Mike Bennett onto the show next week, or maybe in 2 weeks, depending on his time. Poland. Corticide, very, very important stuff. As I mentioned before, we are doing a lot of things at once. Why are we doing a lot of things at once? We're all very ADD. I'm just joking. We are doing all of these things at once because we understand that if we were to do everything sequentially, we would die as a project. Like it's plain and simple, because if we hadn't done the adoption of IOTA while trying to build the base protocol, IOTA would never have, nobody would care about IOTA. That is why it was very important for us since the inception of the project that we, for one, try to work with partners on the potential use cases, try to educate them on the use cases, while trying to really make sure that we as an organization are able to make the base layer production ready. That is the ultimate promise that we have made to all of you. And that is the ultimate promise that we have made to our corporate partners, that we are making IOTA production ready. How do we make it production ready? Chrysalis, which is happening, and Corticide. And we have Chrysalis coming out at the end of the month. We are very close with the Nectar release. The team has really done a phenomenal job there. As all of you probably know, around 2 weeks ago, we started to integrate Mana officially into the Go Shimmer node. And Mana is sort of the heart of everything. And it's super, super interesting and super exciting to see it all really come together. And basically what the team does right now is all of the different components where Mana plays a role, right? When it comes to the rate control, when it comes to the auto peering, when it comes to FPC, the DRNG, all of that, they're plugging in Mana to basically finalize the node software. And this is really where we then are able to say that Go Shimmer is able to move to the next stage, which is the Nectar testnet. Right now we have Pollen, as you can see here. Kind of fits with the time, I guess. Right now we have Pollen, and Pollen is the stage where still doing like really important testing, really important development work, also some research. But now with the integration of Mana, and now that we're plugging in all of the different modules of Corticide, we are able to move from the Pollen release to the Nectar release. And here with the 0.5.5, we have consensus, FPC, and auto peering. integrated. So I think there's an image somewhere. It looks really, really exciting, and I really can recommend all of you to basically take a look at the software and just try it out yourself, because it's totally worth it. I think Rom had an image, by the way. Let me quickly pull it up. Some of the community members, I think the testnet right now is around 200 nodes, I would say. So 200 nodes that are participating there, that are sending transactions. And here it is. And that are already generating mana. So here you can see the node of Rom, who is already generating mana with his node. So it looks really, really damn exciting to see all of this come together. And I think Chrysalis is fucking exciting, but now we also have Courtside that is really evolving to a stage where all of you will be able to participate in it. The goal with Courtside is that you don't just have to wait until the end of the year to be able to join. You will be able to join with the Nectar network, and you will be incentivized to join the Nectar network. So it's super, super interesting to see all of this come together. The full release is still a couple of weeks away. Right. What do you mean with full release? Is the release that we can call Nectar, but it is very much alive. Maybe there's like there's another screenshot here. Trying to find if there is a dashboard to look at. All right, let me try and see if this one actually works. All right, no, that doesn't work. No, but it's super exciting, and I think it's still a little bit hardcore to join the network, so you need to know how to run your own node. But we will take away all of that difficulty with the Nectar release, so that you can really take a shot at it and generate your own mana. As all of you probably know, mana is really what is sort of like the secret sauce of Courtside. It is one of the components that we're most proud of, because it enables us to be feeless. It is one of the most innovative rate control mechanisms and congestion control mechanism in this space. And it is what enables IOTA to be feeless. And feeless is what is the future of IOTA. And I even have a screenshot of this here. Because the main reason why I'm saying it's the future of IOTA is it is one of the most important parts that really makes IOTA. Because without being feeless, we wouldn't be IOTA. And it took us all this time to really figure out the consensus, to really figure out this future of IOTA, because we wanted to stay feeless. And just recently, somebody asked me in the community, is like, when the project started, did Sergey, for example, know about how to remove the coordinator and stuff like that? And ultimately, the answer is no, right? Because it took us really more time, it took us more resources, and also more understanding of what is really required by the market to come up with a solution that meets these requirements, to be fully decentralized, no coordinator. Every node in the network is able to participate in the consensus. Every node in the network is securing the network, and every node in the network can participate without paying transaction fees. And this feeless component of IOTA is so damn exciting for the future. If you think about wrapping IOTA tokens, bridging IOTA tokens to other networks, and if you think about bridging other tokens to the IOTA network, you slowly start to understand really what we're building here. Because we are building the machine economy on top of IOTA, where all of these different assets will be able to be represented on the IOTA ledger, and they can be transacted in a feeless way. And this is really going to be such an enormous value proposition against any other competitor in the market, against any other technology out there. And it's really something that cannot be overstated, basically, because with feelessness, we are able to enable all these use cases. And we started saying this with large companies, right, where it was like a big company that, for example, had a charging station. And if you had transaction fees, your business model becomes completely unpredictable. You don't know how much money you're going to get in the end. And if we think about a business model that's based on micropayments, you might end up losing money on your use case. But if you have a feeless ledger that you're building on, you have a very predictable business model. You don't have to worry about fees. And you should rather just spend your time focusing on your business model, on your use case, on getting an adoption for your use case, and not worry about tweaking fees or utilizing some sort of aggregator, as is happening with Ethereum right now, but really be focused on building. And this is what's super exciting about IOTA, where with digital assets, we're able to represent other assets on the IOTA ledger, right? And then with smart contracts, we are able to we're able to program these tokens and these use cases. And this is what's really, really, really exciting for the future of what we're building. And so I think all of you, you should really try and wrap your head around what we're building here with Chrysalis coming out on the 28th. And then with Corticide happening, we're really getting close, I would say, and it's super interesting to see how the project evolved, from very, very humble beginnings to now really getting close to making true to the promise of getting IOTA production ready, making sure that IOTA is fully decentralized, and making sure that IOTA is fearless. So I think all of us can be very proud of that. And price is interesting and it's great, but the way that we measure our success is by the adoption of the protocol and by the use cases and by the problems that we solve. And I think we're really, really on the right path here. So it's super, super interesting. And maybe as a last statement before I jump to the last more off-topic point, everybody in the IOTA community that is a builder, that is a developer, that is a product manager, that has an idea, you should start building now. Now is the start. Now is the time to really start building, because the base layer is getting to a point where you can just so simply integrate IOTA into your use case. And more exciting than that, the use cases are going to increase exponentially with digital assets, with smart contracts. So now is the time to really start thinking about which kind of use case, which kind of product you want to create, because IOTA is getting ready. And so all of you in the IOTA community, you should really think about how you can also play a part in this, because nothing makes us at IOTA more happy than to see many of you just building together with us. That is what makes IOTA so exciting. Every time we speak with another project, they always say how big our community is, how big our ecosystem is. So it is our most valuable asset, all of you, right? The IOTA ecosystem. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of you will be building with the technologies that we are now getting ready. And yeah, if you need some advice, if you need some help, if you need some ideas, join our Discord. I'm sure that if you are a developer and you're lacking an idea, or if you have an idea and you're lacking somebody to develop it with you, just join our Discord. The IOTA community is really friendly for most of it, I would say, and it's really there to bring people together so that all of you can build this future together with us. And that's what this is all about: permissionless ecosystems. That is what makes IOTA so powerful. Anybody can innovate with our tech. Anybody can utilize our libraries and can completely disrupt entire industries. And this is what's so empowering about these decentralized technologies, because you do not need to ask about approval. Yes, I totally thought about spec when I said that. But what really makes decentralized technologies so powerful is that nobody really controls them. Everybody can participate and everybody can benefit from these technologies. And the IOTA ecosystem is really an ecosystem that fundamentally understands the tech, I would say, and is now at the time where the opportunities are just increasing. So it's time to innovate together with us. So I really hope that all of you start the building now together with us. We have an ecosystem development fund. We are restructuring it a little bit to open up even more grantees. So if you want to get funding for your use case, just feel free to reach out to us on Discord. We're happy to support you. We are big supporters of any type of open source tool, library, building block that can benefit IOTA and the broader machine economy. And without going too much into details and stuff, like just join our Discord and let's start discussing about the use cases there. So I think that's super exciting. And I hope that all of you also have a better understanding of where we stand in 2021 compared to 2017. We as a project, we really have a very clearly defined path ahead of us. And instead of being blinded by the fog around us, we have a clear sight. We know where we're heading. We know what we have to do. And we have an excellent team. We have an amazing community that is supporting us. We are really delivering and we're really executing. And this is what makes IOTA so powerful, and this is what makes this second quarter of 2021 so exciting, because Chrysalis is coming out on the 28th. We have the Nectar network, the fully decentralized version of IOTA, coming out in a couple of weeks. So I hope that all of you are really getting excited for what is to come after that with digital assets and with smart contracts. So without further ado, I hope this session was valuable for you. I hope that you had some good time. And I hope that all of you are able to take some time off. Taking time off is one of the most important things that I didn't do enough during 2017. It was also where you kind of pressured yourself. So make sure to take some time off. Make sure to not be stuck in the moment, but rather really reflect on where we stand and make decisions based on that. And where we stand today as IOTA is absolutely phenomenal. And we should really thank the entire IOTA team that really brought us here. So happy holidays or whatever you call it. And I see you then next week. Thank you guys and have a good day. Bye-bye.